Hi students of class 12, I am here with a lesson from Vistas, Memories of Childhood. And in fact, this lesson has two personalities, women personalities. And they come from different backgrounds, from different countries. But there is one thing common between them. They all come from the oppressed societies. One is American Indian, Native American Indian, other is Indian Dalit coming from Roman Catholic family. Okay? This American woman, Gertrude Wynne, who was born in 1876, suffered discrimination and oppression at her young age when she was admitted in a school. And when she grew up, she reflected on what happened in the childhood, and her struggle against oppression and discrimination continued. She adopted the pen name Zitkala-Sa. Now, this Zitkala-Sa is a Native American Indian woman, and I am going to narrate her childhood, what transpired in her childhood, how she suffered discrimination for being a Native American. Now, first of all, let me tell you what is a Native American. America is basically a country of migrants. European people settled in America and adopted America as their country. It happened in 18th century. But Native Americans are the people who originally belong to America. They have been living there since times immemorial. And Native Americans, I mean Red Indians, are the native people of America. And when these European migrants settled in America, they occupied the country, controlled its resources, and started discriminating against the Native American, who were the original Americans. Okay? So actually, this is the story of Zitkala-Sa, a Native American. When she was admitted into a school, American school, from the day one, she felt suffocated. First of all, the place was crowded, so many students, so many things were happening, and life was quite regimented and regulated. She did not enjoy any freedom over there. And on the top of this, indignities were heaped on native children. So on the first morning of her school, she was led to a dining room where all the girls went with her. But her blanket was removed from her. And because she came from a traditional family, she considered this as disgraceful, humiliation. And she was also shocked to see the other girls wearing tight dress and the small girls' hair were singled. So she felt offended and she thought that they were immodestly dressed. Immodestly dressed means they were not properly dressed. Their dress did not show any dignity. This done, it was time for the breakfast. All the girls and boys, they made separate lines across the table and they all stood in line against the table. First bell went, they dragged the chair. Okay, now they were waiting for the second bell. But as they dragged the chair, Zitkala-Sa thought that it was indication for her to drag the chair and sit. So she sat. But she became all of a sudden conscious that others were still standing. So she stood up again. Second bell went, all the girls and boys, they occupied their seats. When the third bell went, they started using their forks and spoons and they started taking their breakfast. But when she turned around, her eyes met a pale-faced woman with white hair, and that woman was staring at her. She felt self-conscious. She did not like her gaze on her. And it appeared that the woman was observing her and trying to understand who that girl was. Okay, she did not like it. But she had befriended one girl. Her name was Gertrude Wynne. Gertrude Wynne was very sympathetic to Zitkala-Sa. Gertrude Wynne knew English as well. She had some knowledge of English, this girl Gertrude Wynne. So Gertrude Wynne had overheard that pale woman talking to another person that they had decided to single Zitkala's hair, and she was not ready for this. She would rebel. She had decided that she would not allow her hair to be cut short because her mother had always told her that only captured soldiers, defeated soldiers or convicts or the people who were mourning someone's death had their hair cut short. So losing the hair means losing one's dignity. losing one's identity. So she was in no mood to relent. She was not going to let her hair to be cut. So she sensed trouble. So she stealthily left the place. She slept out from there, passed the hall, and hid herself in a room which had 3 beds. Room was dark because it had deep green curtains on the windows. So room was not very well lighted. So she crawled under a bed, okay, on all her 4. And she huddled herself inside the bed. She crouched there and holding her breath, she thought that she would be able to save herself. After all, she was a child. But she felt some noise coming. The footsteps of the people and their voice were nearing her. And she felt that people were searching for her. Even Gertrude Wynne was also searching for her. Finally, they entered her room and removed the curtain. Room became more lighted and she was discovered hiding under a bed. She was dragged out. She was kicking and scratching, but she was overpowered. She was tied to a chair and she felt the cold blade razor on her neck. And in this way, her hair was singled. She cried after that, cried. She resisted a lot, but she was overpowered by so many people. So they did not spare her. Her hair was shingled. Thereafter, she cried a lot. Nobody came to her to comfort her. She remembered her mother, but her mother was not around. She had lost her hair. This means she had lost her dignity. She cried and cried, but nobody came to console her, to comfort her. And this was the first lesson of her life. She suffered the first discrimination of her life. It was the first operation of life. So actually her story is the story of, because she came from the marginalized society, she was oppressed by the mainstream population. What happens? Like Dalits, like the Negroes, the people who do not belong to the mainstream population, they are discriminated against. So Native Americans are minority in America. America has a white majority population, and these Native Americans are discriminated against because their population is less and they can't resist these white dominance. So it was her first experience coming from the marginalized society. She was discriminated by the white people in this American school, and this haunted her along. She could not forget this. So she is writing in her article and books about this event, and finally she had her victory. She fought this personal battle against injustice and finally became victorious. But she always remembers this day, this black day of her life, and when she had the first brush with discrimination, she had this first experience of discrimination, and she realized that what she was supposed to do, she had to fight against this injustice. So students, I have given you the first story. This is the memories of childhood of Zitkala-Sa. Next story is about Bama, the Dalit girl who came from the Roman Catholic family, and her family, her community also suffered discrimination. I will be telling you about all these in my next class. I am sure you have understood everything. Wish you all the best for the coming examination. More lessons are coming up. Keep smiling. Have a wonderful day.